Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. The Flames have signed Dan Vladar to a 2-year extension, and we're going to talk all about the test that he is currently given and what this extension means for the future of the Flames goaltending pipeline. All that on today's episode of Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Locked On Flames, or welcome to Locked On Flames. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. And thank you for joining me in a great contract extension. And we're going to break down the deals of we're going to break down the details of the deal today. And I am so excited to do this with you today, but make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you listen to our podcast, and of course on YouTube as well, to jump in on the conversation over there. But let's get into it. The news broke earlier this afternoon about the extension happening. The Flames pretty much jumped on the release like 30 seconds after the insider tweeted about it, so I kind of figured no one was letting this get out, or it didn't have time to get out. Like, it was pretty much a solid deal before, there weren't negotiations, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I think it is a fantastic deal. 2 years at $2.2 million, average annual value starting next year. So this is a great deal because, number one, I think the salary increase, so his raise from $800,000 to $2.2 million it's a significant jump, but it is a great deal for a backup goaltender, especially one of Vladar's caliber. And I think that it shows that the organization trusts him. And today, before they were doing media availability, Sutter gave Vladar a fist bump in the hallway. So, it's a great sign. It is a great thing to just start the season with. And it's one less thing for Vladar to have to worry about. And also, when you look at, quality goaltenders, I feel like they're making like $4 or $5 million, like a base, like at least that much to start. And for a backup goalie to be making 2.2, I think that that's a very fair deal. I think that that is right where he should be, based on one start we've seen from him so far this season, but also where we'll see him go the rest of the season. And coming up next, we are going to talk about the test that I think Darryl Sutter is giving him. But we'll get there. We'll get there, okay? I like how they're locking him up ahead of the offseason. I think it's a smart move, not only so you don't have to worry about him testing free agency, but from a business standpoint, it's smart because you're signing him before the cap goes up. And, I think that it's always kind of like a good deal there. And I believe it was Ryan Pinder who tweeted that this was really the only contract that Tree Living had to worry about this summer. And that's like off his plate now. So that's great, right? But Ryan Dietrich tweeted that Dan Vladar, a quote from Dan Vladar, "It's a dream come true. There wasn't much thinking. My agent called me and said that we got this offer. It didn't take me long. It was about 12 seconds. Actually, I think it was about 3 seconds. I love this city. I love the fans. I love the organization. I think we've got something special going on here. This is probably the best thing that could happen to me. Obviously, I'm super happy here, so I want to stay here as long as I could." That's so sweet. Like, I love when players, especially a player that I don't want to say was given up on by an organization, because the Bruins would have loved to have kept him, but there just wasn't any room for him in the organization anymore. So, it was smart for him to, for them to move on from him, but even smarter for the Flames to inquire about a trade. And, I really like what he said there. He loves the city, he loves the organization, loves the fans. And of course, that could all just be, mouth service or lip service. But I do think that there really is something special about Calgary and what's going on there. But again, I think that this could just be the start of something so special here in Calgary, and we never know. You truly never know when that something special is going to fully blossom, and I think this is the start of something new. Just to quote High School Musical there, but we're gonna see some really great hockey played this season, and we're gonna see some fantastic goaltending for the next 2 seasons. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the conversations that I've seen about trading Vladar because his stock is high, and why that's a smart idea, but also the test he's being given by the organization, and more. But first, let's talk about our friends at BetOnline. Y'all know that BetOnline is your #1 continued source for your online game day sports betting, especially through the NFL season. It is Thursday night, so there is some Thursday night football action going on. And of course, the league is torturing us with Cardinals and Saints. It's not as bad as, what was it? Jets and Jets and Bears last week, I think it was. But find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games, including every MLB playoff game, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head on over to the website today and check out BetOnline. BetOnline, where the game starts. I am so happy to be here with y'all another day of the week. We're here for you Monday through Friday. I got you. And if you haven't already, make sure that you follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. I'm certainly more active there than I am on the show's Twitter feed. I actually I've seen this conversation going on for a little while, but then I also saw a tweet today that was talking about why the Flames should trade Dan Vladar. And mind you, these are always coming from accounts with like 30 followers that have like a stock photo of as their profile picture. But they do get engagement, so I have to talk about it. And like why they should trade Vladar and all that stuff. But also, why would you want to trade him? I don't think that it makes sense. It would have made sense to do that because, number one, I don't think Dustin Wolf is ready to make that jump to the NHL. I think that he is obviously a fantastic goaltender, but I don't think we need to rush him and then also rush everyone else in the goaltender pipeline. You know what I mean? When you move one, you're moving everyone. And it doesn't make sense for the Flames to do that from an organizational standpoint and points in the players' development. But, with the next 2 years, locked up, you could have Vladar training and blossoming into a starting goaltender. I think that there are plenty of teams that will come knocking on Vladar's, door when he's a UFA come 2025 when that deal is up. That is horrific to think about that is that close. Wow. Okay. But no, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if he keeps trending in that right direction, you will absolutely see him become a starter for a team. And I don't know if that's the path that was going to happen in Boston. I don't think it is, especially with Jeremy Swayman and Kyle Kaiser there. But, with Dustin Wolf probably being ready in 2 years, I would safely assume Vladar will transition into a starting role somewhere. So, you have to look at it like that as well. And he's really off to a great start. And I don't think his numbers against the Oilers in that one start really do him justice. I think that, obviously getting a start against a competitive team and staying locked in for the full 60 minutes did help. I think he had like an 8.97 save percentage against the Oilers, and that's not bad considering he did have 27 saves, and he was fighting for his life down to the final minute, the final second of that game, and he stood tall. The confidence didn't waver, and I like what we're seeing there. And I really thought that we were going to see him get the start tonight against Buffalo. And I mentioned that in yesterday's episode, if you listened. And I think all of us kind of agreed that he would be starting in Buffalo. That was the general consensus on Twitter as well. And then I actually had an episode today planned to talk about our goaltending. And I wanted to talk about the test that Vladar is seemingly getting. And he had his first start of the season was against the team that eliminated the Flames in the postseason, and he stood strong. And that is a very big test and a tall task to stand up to, and the expectations to live up to as well. So for him to knock it out of the park like that, I think is great. And then, of course, if he's not getting the start today, he's got to be getting the start against Carolina. And Carolina was one of the two teams that gave him absolute heck last year. And he was one of the teams that really, I think, Carolina was one of the two teams that, it was one of the two games that really, really, really cost the trust between Vladar and Sutter, or Sutter with Vladar and the goaltending. But, I think it's great to see him getting this start against, again, we're just fully assuming here, based off of Sutter's, he's starting one game a week comment. But last season, he had an 8.38 against Carolina. That game, I think I shut that game off early based on how not great it was going. And I'm pretty sure that's the game they ended up having like 8 goals scored on them. So it was just not a pretty game. And then his other rough start was against Tampa, which was pretty much back-to-back. And with an 8.79. So, looking at those numbers, you're probably thinking, well, why would they want to extend him? Because those games happened very early on against two incredibly good teams. It was his first season in the NHL. And, I think that he has come a very long way since in almost a year, in those 10 months. So, I think that, again, this was a very smart contract extension for the Flames, for Vladar, and I'm looking forward to his future. Even if, after these 2 years are up, we see him go play for another team, I will still be rooting for him. I think he's a great backup and just a great guy overall, and what more could you ask for some solid goaltending, right? And coming up next, we are going to preview the Flames versus Sabres game, which is happening in a little over 2 hours from when I'm recording. Thank you all for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Flames. Let's talk all about the things that you need to know heading into tonight's matchup. The Flames point leader is, of course, Nazem Kadri with 4, and Elias Lindholm and Tyler Toffoli lead the team in scoring with 2 goals apiece. Rasmus Dahlin has 4 points for the Sabres, and he leads the team in scoring with 3 goals. And of course, the Flames power play is 5th in the league, and the penalty kill is tied 12th at 83.3%. And oh, y'all, this is so sad. I didn't really thoroughly go over these notes beforehand, so you're kind of getting a first-hand reaction. The Sabres power play is ranked 28th in the league at an 8.3%. 8.3. And then their penalty kill is ranked 11th. So right above the Flames with an 84.6%. That is really bad. So if we can force the team, I'm not worried if the Flames end up taking penalties tonight. Is that bad? Anyways, I don't think that that's that big of a deal. The Sabres are one of those teams that you want to get better. And I'm not quite sure that they're ever going to be a solid, a truly competitive NHL team ever again. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But in good news, Milan Lucic is skating in his 1100th game tonight. He has played for 4 different teams over the course of his career with Boston, LA, Edmonton, and Calgary. I didn't realize that he was only in LA for 81 games. I thought that he was there longer. But that is certainly interesting. He has 566 career points. And, of course, he won the 2011 Stanley Cup as well. And he is the 211th player in NHL history to reach this many games. And the Flames have Jonathan Huberdeau to be their player to watch tonight as well. Jonathan Huberdeau. The magic that Huberdeau brings was on full display against the Golden Knights. The winger dazzled the crowd with his playmaking, a threat each time the puck was on his stick, which resulted in a 2-point night during Tuesday's win over Vegas. Huberdeau now has 3 points in 3 games, all assists, and is 2 goals away from 200. In his career. That is rather impressive. I talked about it the other day about how I don't think we need to panic about him not scoring yet because, like this article says, he brings a lot more to the team than just a goal or just scoring. So, 3 assists in 3 nights isn't bad. So, again, just take it for what it is and roll with it. I am very, very just impressed with how this team is starting their season. And I'm going to say that it is I don't want to say the S word because I don't want to jinx them, but I do think the Flames will score at least 4 goals this evening. Buffalo, I don't think they'll score any. Maybe they'll score 1. Yeah. Let's say 4-1 or 4-0. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am Jess Belmosto, and you can follow me on Twitter. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube at Jess Belmosto. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for a game recap weekend preview, and of course our winners and losers of the week. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts and of course on YouTube as well. So I will see you later. Bye-bye.